Okay. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi. How are y'all?
We're doing fine, I think.
Good. I had to go run and feed my chickens and put them up before dark. So,
Sure.
but they cooperated. So,
Good. I had a great day because I was able to do some selfish sewing on a project that I started at the beginning of the year and then set aside for a very long while. And I also got the binding done on a magazine submission. So that's moving along as well. Rhonda, I think you froze.
I'm going to have to, my daughter took her iPad. I'm going to switch to my iPhone. So I'm going to go for just a minute.
That's fine. Hi, Linda.
Good morning, or whatever time it is over there.
Exactly. Hello.
Hi there.
Jody, what have you been working on?
Lots and not achieving much. I teach from home, and I've got about 8 students, and I just constantly seem to be trying to keep up with projects for them.
Excuse me.
So is it like an ongoing group that you're just trying to manage? Yeah, that is hard.
Yeah, and this year I've said you can only come every second week. That they just want to come and be social and, you know, pay me money. Some of them, you know, one lady in particular just wants to come and pay me money just to sit and chat. And I say, well, come on, we've got to sew something here. But, you know, writing the patterns, doing the samples, it just takes a long time.
Right. That's where it might be useful to find, in terms of the workload, I was going to say find someone else's pattern, but if you're wanting to get into the design aspect and be able to sell your own patterns, obviously that would be.
I have tried. Like if I find a free project online, I have emailed that person and said, do you mind if I teach a class in this? And a lot of times I don't get an answer back.
I think a lot of, just because it's very odd that, to me, in terms of approaching a pattern that's out there in the world, approaching the designer and then say, oh, can I teach a class? Because I think a lot of quilt stores just do that. They get patterns and one of their staff teaches the class. There isn't a lot of, you know, getting permission. I understand if it's a specific technique, then becoming, quote, the certified instructor in that method.
But I've asked around a lot, and you know, some people say yes, you have to get permission. You can't copy. For instance, like last week, the ladies wanted to make the microwave bowl holders. Now there is so many patterns out there.
Right.
It's nothing, you know, that somebody can claim as their own. But you know, for ease sake, I downloaded a pattern and I copied it 4 times. You know, which you're not supposed to do, but you know, sometimes you know, it's out there free. What is the difference if people don't have printers at home? And
I do see the difference there. like you said, slight in terms of teaching a free pattern without permission and distributing that free pattern. There's so many gray areas. I was thinking more of a paid pattern where each student bought the pattern and then you teach the pattern.
If it's a paid pattern, like a couple of weeks ago, we made a really cute little bag, and I approached the designer, and I got like a 10% discount if I bought 6 patterns. And so I did. I paid for 6 patterns. I had 2 in that class. I've got 4 for the next class that wants to make. And they paid for the pattern. So that, I'm quite happy to do that. But if it's something free, you know, it's, I don't know. Why do I have to, I just feel it's a lot of work for me to make a bowl holder, photograph it, write the pattern.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I understand your frustration. I don't have any answers. Maybe some of the other ladies can chime in if they've worked with ongoing groups, and then where to find the patterns and everything to manage that workload. And
like my groups don't want to make a quilt,
that's a
like they started off and they made a sampler quilt last year, but this year that's finished. They just want a small project every week or 2. So
I'm trying to think. I have to do some research, but I have seen books on non-quilt projects, and that might be an avenue. Then if everybody had the same book and you could decide, hey, we're going to work on this project, then this project.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Good. So Rhonda, what have you been up to?
Well, the kids started back to school last Wednesday, so I'm just trying to get back into routine. I did some organizing, cleaning out, and working on. Oh, and I'm real close to having my opt-in and splash page up, so I'm real excited about that.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a big step. That's great.
Yeah. So, and that's going to lead into some projects that I'm kind of working on, which I'm excited about. So I feel like I'm moving in the right direction, especially with school back in. That first day being home alone with no interruptions, it makes a huge difference.
Wow, you're lucky to have kids going to school in person. My daughter's still doing the homeschool thing, and it's amazing and I think it's more she leans on me as a crutch. Hey mom, come help me with this math problem. I'm like, well, I wouldn't be there to answer a question if you were.
Right. Well, they go to a really small school, so far it's working out. So hopefully they'll stay there.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully this disease is on the downhill slope. So, well, good. Linda, your turn.
No, don't ask. I'm still slowly working away on patterns, but I relate to, I'm just looking through the names, what Jody was saying about classes, because I've been doing some at the quilt shop down the road, and I was talking to Donna this morning, and it is time consuming to do up your patterns for a class, and then the time you're there teaching the class, it's not going to move the business along in a big hurry. But I find if I do those patterns, that will give me something extra, not necessarily stained glass, but something extra to put up eventually, and they're like the dummy test runners. So if I know they have a problem with something in the class, and it's like, oh, okay. And on Thursdays when I actually put 2 extra little bits into the pattern from what they'd said in the class. So it helps that way. But I'm just slowly plodding along. And I said to Donna, I really need to be more disciplined. I find 50 million things to distract me from the hard bit, which for me is the techno stuff. But the pattern part I'm happy with. I just need to move on.
You and your
I can relate.
test group is a good perspective. have you been up to?
Was that for me?
Yes, that's you.
Oh, sorry. I keep losing volume and pictures and whatever. I've been, well, I live in Victoria in Australia, so we're in lockdown again. So now it's compulsory that everyone wears masks. So I didn't want to be a mask maker, but, you know, that's what I've been doing for 3 weeks. But it was frustrating because it sort of takes you away from the things you wanted to do. But the upside of it was I made so much money. I've never made so much money in 3 weeks that it actually paid, and I had delivered all my equipment to do what I want to do for the business. So I was able to get a good camera, lighting, everything I needed, and the mask paid for that. So that was nice. Yeah. So now what I'm doing is yesterday I spent the day making things for YouTube, which is really hard, and it's really confrontational having to film and hear your own voice and whatever. And so I spent a whole day doing that, and then at the end of the day I filmed it. The file was too large and I couldn't upload it anywhere. So I suppose I'm just learning. Every time I come to something, I'm just learning the right way of doing it. And so I'm sort of still in that research, sort of thing. So when I first started everything, the reason was that I designed, well, I didn't really design, it's a square. I had templates made a square, a 2.5-inch ruler, and that I was going to do these patterns to sell the rulers, because then you would look at it and go, oh, well, oh yes, she made that from using those rulers. But somehow along the way, I forgot that that's what I was doing, and I was off doing all these other things. So I'm only just coming back to trying to do things that then sell the rulers, because they've already been made and paid for and whatever. So it's just a little bit all over the place, to be honest. Yeah,
I feel like that a lot.
But it's nice listening to people, because maybe that's just the same for everyone. You know, you have one program, yeah, and you sort of go off and you're doing something else and go, oh, that wasn't what I was, you know. So yeah, but you know, happy nevertheless. Yeah.
So I was sharing before everybody got on that I had a nice sewing day today. So that's always nice to be away from all the other businessy stuff and be able to just sew a little bit for fun. I was finishing up.
What were you making, Auntie?
I am working for myself and Elizabeth Hartman pattern. She does all the animals. And I'm working on the Spectacular Savannah. So it's jungle animals, and I pieced a hippopotamus today. So that was fun. And then I got the binding on I did a pair of quilts that were accepted to a magazine. So I'm going to be mailing those off. And
oh, well done.
Thank you.
That's good.
I don't know why I was so resistant for a long time, but if you can start submitting designs to magazines, and you know, it's one of those, you get turned down a bunch of times, but when you do get accepted, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely pursue that if you have.
And that was a good fan base, wouldn't it? Like, you'd get people that, you know.
Yeah, you definitely want to, there is a certain, you know, cachet to be able to tell people that, hey, you know, I'm in that magazine. And you can, I had a design published in May, and I was able to feature that on my website for a couple months. And I wrote a blog post about kind of the process. And then I did a YouTube video with details about that particular quilt. So I was able, yes, to put that into my social media and stretch it for a while. I need to, some lessons learned is that you will get requests for kits. So be ready either to provide that or to, you know, partner with a shop that you can say, well, I don't personally sell them, but such and such a shop is carrying that fabric, and they'd be happy to put that together. So then there might be some other marketing opportunities, like if you could be on that shop's Facebook page or something showing the quilts. So that is all, it's all part of the process. And that kind of ties into what I was saying about the topic for tonight is, you know, how to market and how to drive those sales. The publisher I'm working with does have pretty, what I think is pretty generous, fair design rights. So the patterns do come back to me within 6 months. I think it was a 6-month window. And so then I'll be able to release that pattern and then can start teaching classes and marketing it that way. So definitely, like I said, have your website set up so that you can capture those emails and then just build that relationship with, because I've collected emails for a long time. I just am very inconsistent with newsletters. So I'm trying to be more disciplined about sending out newsletters. And they don't have to be any great epic, you know, novellas about stuff. If you have just a little blurb about life and then a couple blurbs about what's going on, like I can, because I've been, it's easier for me to do videos. So if I share my YouTube video and maybe, you know, something I'm working on in the studio, I think that's enough to keep quilters interested. I've seen other newsletters where it's like 16 links to all these different projects. Well, I never sit down and click through all those links. So, you know, but that's just me. I'm sure there are, obviously, if a person is putting in the time, they're seeing some benefit from that. So that's that. So how are you guys finding or hooking people into taking classes or buying patterns or anything like that?
Well, I can jump in here. Can
Yeah,
you hear
definitely.
Me? Okay. Before the COVID, I was quite successful putting on Facebook community pages in the suburbs around me and advertised my classes. And, you know, I think I got a fair response from it. But then, and I had, I think the months of April and May all planned out. Tuesday night's class, Monday afternoon's class, Saturday every fortnight type of thing. And then we couldn't have more than 3 people at your home. So those 2 pages just got ripped off the wall. And I've been hesitant since then to redo that because this COVID thing changes daily. Now, you know, I mean, I know Linda would know this, that in Queensland, we've had, you know, virtually 0 cases. And now all of a sudden in my area, it's about to, you know, go back to, you know, tougher restrictions. So I'm hesitant to expand on what I've already got. And like I said, you know, I've got 7 or 8 ladies that come, but I found that, yeah, getting on Facebook pages, local community pages, and saying, you know, you were going to teach classes. It's difficult. I can only have 5 or 6 people here. And I've looked into hiring a community centre. And I think if I did a mask making workshop tomorrow, I probably would, you know, fill 10 classes in that. But I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm just hesitant to expand it at the moment because things are so, and it's nowhere near as bad as what your country's going through. But, you know, we sort of see that and think, oh, you know, Yeah, I'm sort of at the moment. I'm happy with that, and I do need to do that email. Set everyone up on the email. I think I'm going to use MailChimp or something if I can figure it out.
That's a good.
And, yeah, and I think what you just said about doing a newsletter, yeah, it really only does have to be one or two items, and I think, yeah, I should start with that. And the other thing, I belong to a quilting group, a local quilting group, on a Thursday morning, and sort of word got round there the other day that I had taught a few ladies a free motion quilting class. So I did have a couple of people come up and approach me and say, you know, do you want to do you want to, you know, like when you have your next one, put my name down, sort of thing. So, you know, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that using the Facebook groups is good resource.
Yeah.
Are there quilt or fabric stores in the area that you can?
Very few. There's a big one, probably about 40-minute drive from me, but they have their own classes. They do lots of classes, and she has a big online presence and that sort of thing. And then in my area, nothing. Then we have to go to South Brisbane, which is probably half an hour up. But then the closest one there is almost like, well, it's, I don't know if Linda knows or Donna, East Coast Fabrics is, you know, it's budget fabric. You know, it's, you know, it's budget fabric. So, you know, and I use it, but, you know, it's just, you got, you know, the thought of having to drive to Brisbane actually at the moment I'm buying a lot online. So,
sure.
You know.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, because as I also have a long arm, and that's where I get my long arm customers, is I just leave my card at the fabric store. And people will contact me, or the shop owner will mention if someone comes in and needs something. So
I did notice in East Coast Fabrics on their counter they had a bunch of business cards, and there was lots and lots of people teaching, and so it was like, you know, I probably just prefer to do it in my area.
Sure.
And you know, the response that I got back in March, April, I did get a lot of people that you know, wanted to make like clothing, that sort of thing, and I said, look, that's not really my jam. I mean, I can do it, but I don't want to teach it. But we've just had a new granddaughter, you know, right at the beginning of this, and I've been making bibs and burp cloths and things, and I'm thinking, well, there's a class for mothers. You know, young mums, just come and do a class and learn how to make a bib and a burp cloth, and it's quick, easy, simple. So I'm probably going to do that, you know, put that out there.
Great. Anybody else have experiences to share about rounding up students? And
well, mine's more about the email list, because to be honest with you, before I started Patchwork, I actually didn't realise that was really important. You know, I always taught my classes and I did whatever, and I never ever tracked emails. So because I didn't really have a huge fan base, only what I had on Facebook, I didn't really know how to go about it. But when I set up my Shopify website, I was paying for it, but I didn't have content for it. And the guy that's helping me with my website, he said to me, why don't I just quickly throw something together for you to sell your masks on, you know, when that came up, just to sell them up. And then afterwards, you can just use it for your site, but at least you've got it for that. And I said, well, great. He quickly put it together, and with all the people that came onto the site, and, you know, it had 700 people buy masks, I tracked all their emails, which I didn't realise at the time. It's only when I went in and I thought, oh, So the more that you start getting, the more you start thinking, well, you know, how else can I get more? So now I've got my opt-in ready to go in. But like Jody was saying there, because you can't be doing the classes and that unless you're doing online, and I'm not organised enough for that, you know. Whereas when you've got them in person, you know, it's a little bit more freestyle. So whereas when you do online, there's expectations of, you know, what's going to be done. So, so for me, that's my thing at the moment, is thinking, how am I going to build that email list so, yeah, that I can send out newsletters and whatever. I think for me, that's the puzzle at the moment. Yeah.
It must have been a Facebook comment in another quilting group, but people are saying that it is really a good time for those. I dug out my mom's old sewing machine and made a mask. What else can I do next?
Yes.
Yeah.
So some, you know, beginner intro level classes and projects are probably a very smart move for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
As all the people that are interested
Definitely
get going.
Just to do it, you know, it's getting that organisation done. And like we were saying before, because you intend to do it, but then just like something else happens, and before you know it, you've made a handbag. You think, that wasn't even on the agenda, you know. Yeah, so it's really hard to, as much as I really, really want to be focused, I don't know what happens to me.
I think we're all the same.
Well, and that's one of the things I wanted to do with these calls, is that if someone says, like Donna, you mentioned patterns for your rulers. Now I can ask you every few weeks, hey, what are you doing with those rulers?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I said to Linda this morning, I said, I need to make a sign that's in front of me on my desk saying, sell the bloody rulers, because I keep forgetting that's what I'm doing. You know, it's really, you know, my husband says, how's the rulers going? Like, you know, because I paid $10,000, they're in the garage, and oh yeah, the rulers, that's, you know, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
No, just start talking about it. And we all, I say everything as much as a reminder for myself.
yes.
That we always get timid about sharing stuff. Oh, people have heard this before. Oh, you know, I don't want to promote myself. But especially with the speed of content on social media and the constantly new people that the algorithm is showing your stuff to, you need to repeat it. It may sound like you're, you know, just repeat it until you're sick of yourself talking about it, because there are, for some reason, not everybody sees everything you do. So you got to keep reminding people of what you offer. So, you know, and I always think of the other retailers out there. You know, I take my daughter to the mall. She loves this one particular store for her clothes. And so you know, they have their rewards points. So you give them your email. I get 2 or 3 ads a day in my email from this company. Have I unsubscribed yet? No. So why am I not emailing people that have said they want my content, you know, every single day, if not?
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. It is hard to put yourself out there, because you don't want to, you want to sort of, I don't even want to say the word respectful, but you don't want to bombard people. You don't want people to go, oh, she's a nuisance. But there is that element of that fine line of
Mm.
going, well, you know, you've got to do it. It's tricky, and I'm sure for people that are further along that have got past that discomfort, you know, and they see that it works, but it's tricky.
Yeah.
Tricky.
And it also, I think, the confidence, you know, once you've made a few sales, then you're like, okay, good. People like me. They like my stuff. So it gets easier to do some of that self-promotion. But I am still, I haven't tackled the Facebook ads thing that is in, you know, Shannon's resources, because I really think that's going to be my next thing. And you talk about forgetting stuff, Donna. I've got so many different little threads of my business that I'm working on a block of the month project, and my mom is my test sewer. I do the hard part of the technical writing, and she does the fun sewing part. So we've got that. I just finished an angle play certification, which is a special set of templates to do half rectangle triangles. So I need to do some class samples and basically advertise. I wrote a book on those patterns. So you talk about selling your rulers, Donna, just write yourself a book, and then you've got something else to market and sell along with it. So I've got that. I've got my long arm. I've got, you know, all the beginner class that, you know, I think would bring people in. So it just is, like you said, pick a lane, focus.
Go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Follow through.
Sorry, you were just saying about Facebook. I did two Facebook ads because I've done them with the masks, and that's where everybody came from, was these ads. So and I tracked it to a geography, you know, of the area. I really was surprised how well it worked. Yes.
That's
so
great.
you know, that could be you know, something worthwhile for people that have Facebook and maybe not so much on their website at the moment.
Yeah. Rhonda, have you tried the Facebook ads yet, or are you not to that point in your journey?
I'm not there yet. I have shared some posts on the Texas Quilters group and the East Texas Quilters group. I'm going to be a vendor at quilt shows. And so I thought some quilt shows were going to happen. So I, you know, was sharing about that and everything. And one of my posts got 3,000
views, likes, reach.
Yeah, reached 3,000 people.
Wow.
And it was like, you know, that first day it was like at 1,200. I mean, so I was encouraged by that. So when I am ready, I'm definitely going to share, you know, on those two pages. But yeah, I'm still, I got a lot done. It's just still here in my quilting room.
Right.
But I've got to, but I think once I get my opt-in and my splash page and able to capture emails, I've got somebody helping me with that. So hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be ready for that. And then go from there. So.
Rhonda, what's the splash page?
Huh?
What is a splash page?
Oh, okay. So I'm working with the lady because the website stuff, all this computer stuff is just so over my head. And I took Shannon's advice and found somebody else to help me with that. And I met this girl, and I can call her anytime on the phone. She lives in Texas, so I can understand her, and you know, and I trust her. And she she likes quilting. She's kind of new, but she's younger. And so I, instead of going full force into a web page, because I'm not quite there yet or need that or need to, are y'all still there?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know if y'all froze. Sometimes my screen freezes. Um, so instead of spending all the money on the full-fledged website, we're just doing a splash page. It's just a one page, have a little bit about me, a picture, my opt-in. I don't know how all that connects together, but she will take care of that. So we're starting there, and then we'll build the website as we go, as I'm ready to put more on there. Because I haven't really brought any money in yet, so I just keep spending money. But that's okay, because it's loans, and I'll pay myself back. And I really feel like next year is going to be a great year. So this is kind of doing my groundwork, paying my dues, making my investments.
Yeah, it's like this is our college experience. This is our MBA program, and it takes time to go through and do all the lessons. Donna, some of the other terms people use are landing page.
Oh, yes.
A splash page is just that landing page, that single place where people initially end up to sign up or to enter your stuff. And so and I've been doing web stuff on the side for a long time, and a lot of websites early on in the 2000s would have a splash page just as, quote, their homepage. And so everybody, if you typed in that URL, you would go to the splash page first, and then you'd have to click a button somewhere to get into the full website. So
that's great, isn't it? Because at least there's a presence, and like Rhonda said, if you've got your opt-in on it, well, you're doing something while you're doing what you need to do. I think that's a great idea.
Oh, thank you. I'll keep y'all posted on how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do quilt shows. I had 7 scheduled. I was gonna be a vendor at quilt shows, but all those canceled. But I do have one in October, the first weekend in October that's supposed to happen, and one in November that's supposed to happen. So they're going forward, but I'm not going to advertise those until about 2 weeks before, because I had to kind of go, oops, those other ones were canceled. I was trying to be too optimistic.
Yeah.
So Andy, with your YouTubing, so do you find that from doing those that then people will see you on that and then go and check out your site, check it out? Do you think that works?
I think so. I am not very good at diving into the analytics, and I think Google Analytics somewhere has all that broken down. I haven't looked at it for a while. I just now, after a year, had a pattern sale that was like within a day of me dropping a link to my YouTube video in a Facebook group. So I'm pretty confident that was a direct correlation. So yes, it's. I just think it's great now that I have this library of topics, so that when I am in those other Facebook groups that don't necessarily allow promotion, I'm helping that somebody, if they say, well, I don't know how to do a binding, I says, well, check out my binding video, or I like doing turned placemats, so check out my video on facing versus regular bindings.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you do it on your phone? Do you film on your phone?
Yeah, I just film on my iPad, on my iPhone, and then I have done most of my editing on my laptop, so I download from the cloud. And I haven't run into those space issues you were saying you had, your file was too big. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't ever run into those issues. With my phone, I have edited a few times on iMovie, and that is really slick. It actually went a lot faster than doing it on my laptop, which I was kind of surprised at. But
yeah, no, that's it's just the next learning experience.
mm-hmm.
You know, that's yeah. But I was really torn about the whole YouTube thing, because you sort of feel like you're giving information away for nothing. Mm-hmm. But then I think it's more about building a brand, I suppose, is just and being recognised as someone that knows something about something,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
My example for that, and who I always, you know, when I start feeling about, you know, gosh, I've got all this free stuff out there. Look at Bonnie Hunter. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with her. She has blogged, she has shared free patterns, she has done all sorts of things for free for years. And how many, you know, she sells out classes around the country in, you know, 10 minutes practically. Yeah. So I you know, that's my dream. I still have years to go to build up to that. So
you're the next Bonnie Hunter.
I'm hoping. So.
I think if this particular year and with the COVID thing, I think we've sort of got out of that mentality that you're not going to get anything out of it. You're going to give, because everybody is doing free stuff, everybody. And I approached, I don't know if you've heard of Mr. Domestic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do one of his, he's got on YouTube how to do this tote bag with woven panels on the side.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it's been, you know, in my save things, and I thought, right, I want to do this, and I just couldn't work it out, like how big to make the strips. I sort of had an idea, but, you know, I'm very much a pattern person. I don't like wasting time, you know, mucking around. So I looked up that pattern was for sale on how to do that woven panel, but the postage it wasn't a PDF, it wasn't a downloadable, and the postage to Australia was going to be something like $28,
right?
And the pattern was something like $22, and it probably would have taken, you know, maybe 2 months to get here. So I just wrote to him and sent him an email, and I said, do you think you'll ever have this as a downloadable PDF that I can purchase? And he said, what's your email address? Gave it to me free. Sent me a PDF free overnight. I thought, how nice is that? You know?
Wow.
So there's just so much out there on YouTube that's free, and well-known people that normally would have charged for these things in the past. I think we're all just got used to, you know, look, people are in lockdown. People need something to do, you know. I think, and people, once this is all over, people will remember those, you know, those people that, you know, well, Bonnie Hunter's a great example, but, you know, there's lots more like her.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah. And I know that I'm on, you know, like all of us, on so many quilting and sewing Facebook pages. Everyone always says, does anyone know of a free pattern for this? Do they know of a free pattern for that? You know, and everyone's sharing all the free patterns.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I was a little disappointed in. Because we don't have a quilt shop near me, I approached a local, well, it's not local, but he's in Queensland, and he has, it's an online shop, and I said, okay, I've just done this class last night in, I think it was an applique class. So, you know, where to buy glue sticks, where to get spray adhesive, you know, all those sort of things. And I approached him and I said, look, you know, if I buy 6 of something, would you know, give me a discount so I can then, you know, pass it on to my students? And no, didn't want to do that. And I'm thinking, you know,
Wow.
how stupid for us all to be buying these things from this man and all paying postage. You know, it's more a way of saving postage. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in things like that, because that makes it, you know,
that much harder. Yeah, when you don't have easy access to some of that.
Yeah,
I think he would have jumped on that.
Pardon?
You think he would have jumped on that and thought, oh, fantastic.
Well, I'll give you another example. I approached Victorian Textiles for quilt batting, and I wanted to open up an account with them. And I've got an ABN, I've got a business name, you know, shouldn't have been a problem, just to have batting here, and they sell other stuff as well. And I think they said I had to have something like, I had to purchase something like $1,500 worth of stuff. It was a great amount of money, you know. And I said to them, you know, even if I taught like at my local community centre and I taught groups of, you know, 10 or 12 people, you know, I'd have to be carting big plastic totes of all sorts of merchandise to try and sell that amount of stuff. And they just know we have to look after our quilt shops first, our bricks and mortar stores. And I just wrote back to them and I just said, you know, you've got to get out of the dark ages where you're looking after, like, I think that the slogan used to be that you get 80% of your sales from 20% of your customers. So you're looking after the big ones, but you're not looking after the little ones, you know? Yeah. And I just thought, no, next time you have your, and this was pre-COVID, this was at the beginning of the year. So I'm just wondering if I approached them now and said, you know, have you had a change of heart in this? Because, you know, the bricks and mortar stores aren't open in your area.
Right.
You know, we're all in lockdown down there.
Yeah.
So,
I'm wondering if, with some of those, if you could somehow establish an ongoing, you know, kind of projection, say, you know, I'm ordering just a little bit at a time, but I've got this, you know, planned out for 2 years that we're going to need XYZ supplies, you know, and maybe that would make it a little more attractive than just, oh, this person wants, you know, a one-time order of 10 things at a discount. And
when you said earlier on about if you put a pattern out there, be prepared to put kits, the fabric kits, like I wouldn't be able to buy wholesale fabric, I don't think, because, you know, we'd have to buy bolts and bolts and bolts of it. So what would you suggest? Like, would you suggest going to a quilt shop and saying, look, if I bought, you know, I don't know, 5 meters of, would you give me discount?
Yeah, I run into the same thing because I am not ready to do those minimums, like you said, with some of these big distributors that want you to spend $1,000 at a time. And I'm like, I don't want that inventory. I don't want to be a physical product shop. So yes, in the past I have done that. Like one of the big stores in my area does monthly sales, and they do weekly coupons for their email list. And so I just, when I knew I needed fabric for a kit, I went in after I got the coupon for that week, and I bought the first fabric. And then the next week I bought the second fabric with my discount coupon. So then it was a little more affordable for me to sell the kit because I didn't need a whole bolt. I needed, 10 yards, not 30 yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the only way around it, unless
Yeah.
you were able to partner with some other people in your area that I know. I don't even want to get into Australian prices and shipping. Oh my God.
Well, I was just about to say, like Linda and Donna would know what we pay for quilt fabric over here, and I think at the moment, and like a year ago, there is no way I would have paid $24 Australian for quilt fabric, or only if it was very special. It's pretty much the norm now, and I don't like that's over 30. It's probably, I don't know, maybe close to $35 a meter US. That's what we pay for quilt fabric. And we do have this, like I mentioned, this place, East Coast Fabrics, that does have quilting fabric for, I don't know, $8 a meter to $12 a meter, but there's not a great choice in it, you know. And then we have our Spotlight, and Spotlight's fabric is getting up there in price too.
And it's not always good quality.
No, exactly. So, you know, you sort of, when you think about putting a kit together,
they are expensive, Jody. I'd agree with you. I showed Donna a fabric I got this morning.
Yeah.
I showed her this morning. I'll see if you can see it.
Oh, fun.
And it says on it Marilyn Monroe, and it's got like the lipstick kisses. It was $30 a meter. It's like, I know. So yeah, to invest in kits would be really expensive, I think, unless you've got a shop outlet. And it's probably hard for you, Jody, but it made me think of the shop where I do classes. She asked me if I would like to do up kits, or if I'd like her to do up kits to go with them. And I said, I don't know, I'd never been asked before, because I did teach at another shop originally. And so we decided which things we would do as projects, and we did kits up from that. So basically she did the kit with materials in her shop. And if I do something and I want material from her shop, she'll always like discount it really well for me. So I don't know whether, from the sounds of it, you haven't got one close by, but maybe if there's somewhere that would be feasible, maybe better once you're out of COVID in your area.
Well,
could do the same.
Well, I know years ago when our dollar was better against the American dollar, we had places like Hancock's and Connecting Threads, and those sort of places would give us free shipping to Australia if you spent over $85. And so, you know, we'd get together with a few friends and we'd make up an order. And, you know, look, I think part of you says, well, that's not very good for your local quilt shop, you know, but we don't have a local quilt shop. So, but I'm sort of starting to now look on the American sites and thinking, you know, I'm pretty sure our dollar is going to get a bit stronger. That it probably will be more feasible for us to buy. And it's the shipping here at the moment is it's the length of time it's taking to ship stuff.
And then Australia Post's pretty slack too, because I had a parcel arrive from eQuilter. It took ages to get here, but it arrived in Australia on June the 6th, I think, according to their tracking. And it took another 5 weeks to get here. It's like, really? And Australia Post told me that it had never landed in the country.
So
obviously no idea.
So in America, is a lot of your fabric still being produced and printed in America, or do you know if they're sort of in Japan? Like I know Japan do a lot of quilting fabric.
I think a lot of it comes from Korea, actually. I heard. So yeah, we're starting to. I've heard from a couple of our local quilt stores that they are starting to experience shortages because they are not getting their orders from any manufacturer. So, I mean, there are a few American-made brands, and people are starting to look at the print-on-demand places. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Spoon Flower. because that's printed here in the US. So, yeah,
We-
really.
We have a few of those starting to spring up here in Australia, but I think it's like a 6-week lead time.
Sure.
They'll take an order. They say you have to have your order in by March the 10th, for instance,
Mhm.
and then they must have it printed overseas for it to get back within 6 weeks.
Mhm.
I think that's the way that they're doing it.
In Australia, for whatever reason, I got some. Ours is printed in Germany. It took 3 weeks to come from Germany.
Okay.
So wherever you are, but I thought, isn't that? I never expected it from Germany. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanted a particular pattern, a particular design from an online print place, and they couldn't guarantee that it was going to get to me by the time my little granddaughter was born. So I thought, I'll just go and see if I can find something similar. And I found the exact same similar fabric, cheaper, from Lithuania.
Oh, there you go.
right.
Yep. And it was $2 a meter cheaper than this Australian company doing it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, get creative.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ladies, it's that hour flies by.
Oh,
So,
Yep.
That went fast.
I'm going to call time, and
Thank
everybody
you.
keep on keeping on, doing great things, and just I hope we keep the Facebook group active, because that's an easy way to keep in touch.
Yes.
And if you can make it on the Tuesday September call, that will be fabulous. Otherwise, I hope to see you a month from now.
Yep.
Yes. Fantastic.
With
Doing
something done.
Yeah, that would be great too. Okay, ladies, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, especially Andy.
Oh, you're
Okay.
welcome.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.